Proteus Leadership proudly presents the Let's Go, Let's Grow podcast with Des Penny, founder of Proteus Leadership.
Hi everyone and welcome to the Let's Go, Let's Grow podcast. I'm Des Penny and today I want to talk about finding balance and discovering how real leaders stand the test of time. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon to know that the role of leadership has changed in so many ways, and yet in so many other ways it hasn't. However, often we seem to focus so much on the changes that have and will occur that we lose sight of what is already working and what we have worked so hard to achieve, because sometimes it's not change that's required. We all understand the massive impact that technological change has had on our workplaces and indeed society. And right now, post-COVID, we are experiencing a life-changing invasion called artificial intelligence, in other words, AI, that is changing the way that we do so many things. Although we must never lose sight of the fact that it is artificial. We certainly need to adapt, but at times we seem to be so wrapped up in the change process that we do not see the social implications that progress is delivering, both good and bad. A whole society now exists that is completely technologically savvy, and yet many seem to have missed the basic qualities of life that will never change, such as common decency, kindness, respect, and integrity. It's no one's fault. Society no longer teaches us the importance of these qualities for survival and growth, and it seems a confidence that results from entitlement is now the norm. I'm sure some of you might think that this is old-fashioned thinking and something they would expect from my vintage. Well, maybe it is, but I believe there are fundamentals in life that should never be replaced, because when they are, they actually break down the very structure of society and relationships. I love to spend periods of time in the Indonesian resort island of Bali and go there up to 4 times per year to write and to think and to create strategy. But one of the main reasons I go there is to experience the kindness of the people. They're warm, they're caring, courteous, and have a servant heart. And every time I visit, I learn from them about how to be a better person. I am a massive promoter of change and will continue to be so. In fact, I am known for this through my blogs and my presentations. I love new concepts, new ways of doing things. They really get me excited and highlight the many possibilities in life. But I can't accept they must come at the expense of the basic human courtesies of care, compassion, and respect. Unfortunately, I'm of the belief that in many instances, the role of leadership has fallen into the same cycle of destruction. We're encouraged to be entrepreneurs and be productive and innovative. We're encouraged to be technically and legislatively knowledgeable, all of which are great things to aim for. However, what happened to the social skills and qualities required to be great people, great communicators who are productive yet caring? If you want culture to change in your life and in your organisation, teach people to build relationships, because that's all culture is, people respecting each other. The strange thing is that the majority of problems that people and organisations have are still related to these human characteristics and social behaviours that are not being developed at the same pace as technology, or even being considered as important. So what does this mean for leaders of today and of the future? Well, I believe there are 4 core qualities that a true leader must possess to be efficient and effective and to find balance. And these qualities need to be revisited often, because without them, new ideas and change initiatives will become nothing more than passing fads. We'll become islands competing with each other rather than working in harmony to achieve results. Our political system is a great example of this. Real leadership can only be sustained if it adopts the following 4 qualities and works on developing them with great vigour and excitement. Firstly, real leaders display wisdom and insight. You will have heard me speak in previous podcasts about these qualities because they are the keys to our success, not only as leaders, but as human beings and members of society. When I first stepped out to start my business, Proteus Leadership, in 1993, I did so because I felt there was something missing in the professional life I was living. At that time, I really didn't know what it was, but I knew that there was a massive gap between the way I saw leaders interacting and what I believed should be happening, even though I could not put into words what it was at the time. Very quickly, I learned the secret, and it changed my life in the way I led and the way I lived. The missing link was insight. And insight is the ability to look beyond the obvious to see what is really happening. But I also realised that unless a person had a deep sense of care and compassion, then insight would not come easily or be sustainable. And that's why so many leaders, even today, operate at an inferior level of leadership that impacts their decision-making and their relationships. Where wisdom comes from experience that we have had and learned from, insight is not dependent on age or experience, rather a desire to dig deeper and look beyond the obvious while at the same time caring more. Imagine when you combine both wisdom and insight. That's what a true leader of people looks like, and why there are so few positive leadership role models around today. Insight is simply a balanced concern for self, for others, and for the task at hand, and all three must be seen as having equal weighting. It's an almost overwhelming desire to do the right thing while achieving the best result for all parties. Check out my previous podcast on living and leading with insight to find out more about how we can actually learn to live with insight all of the time. So to have a balanced and sustainable leadership life, we must gather wisdom and display insight. But remember, the foundation of insight is care. Secondly, real leaders display the ability to both dream and then action their dreams. Real leaders who live with insight have the ability to see the bigger picture, but they also understand reality and what's required to bring that big picture to fruition. I describe these people as having their head in the clouds, but their feet firmly on the ground. They understand the need to not just dream, but to also demonstrate the ability to action their dreams and assess the viability of those dreams and then act accordingly. So many people declare themselves as dreamers and visionaries, but then give up when things get tough because their heads are in the clouds, but their feet are far from the ground, and so their ideas remain exactly that, just ideas. They just float about and become frustrated with idea after idea not progressing. If you're not prepared to live out your dreams and give them the best chance of success, then don't frustrate yourself by being a dreamer. It will drive you crazy and everyone else, and eventually you will give up or start to criticize others who are achieving. But today, balanced leaders must be able to do both. As Peter Sheehan, the Australian author, said, action precedes clarity. In other words, you'll never know if your dream will become reality until you're prepared to take the first brave step to making it happen. Therefore, if we're serious about dreaming of a better way, then we must allocate time to immerse ourselves in a pond of possibility with no restrictions. Out of this will come well-informed ideas and concepts for us to action. So be kind to yourself. Give yourself time to be creative. It's not an add-on, but an essential part of a leader's daily existence. Think about that idea or dream you have. What steps have you taken to make it happen? Or is it still just a dream? Thirdly, real leaders also display humility and an absence of ego. Whenever a new educator starts in our business, the first thing we tell them is, if you want to be successful at Proteus, then you need to leave your ego at the door, because we change lives. And you can only do that when your focus is on others and not yourself. Jim Collins, in his book Good to Great, speaks about level 5 leadership, or leaders that demonstrate humility. He explains that being humble in leadership does not mean that you are submissive or weak. Quite the opposite. Humility is our strength. It means that we consider all aspects of our role and situations and are inclusive of other people and their ideas. Our strength comes from within, not through external demonstrations. We do not have to continually prove ourselves to others. So if you are your main concern, then you will never be a true and sustainable leader. In other words, if you constantly need credit, then your life in leadership will be short-lived. The fact is that people who do not demonstrate humility and have overactive egos usually have no idea that they come across that way. Unless it's pointed out to them, they will continue to operate in a way that isolates others. If they do not respond positively to honest communication, then they're not the leaders that you are looking for long term, because humility just gets on and does the right thing without the need for acclaim. And the fourth quality is real leaders are unwavering in their belief. Effective and sustainable leaders will demonstrate an unwavering belief in themselves and their vision, and will stand strong no matter what the opposition. They're not one-hit wonders. They're in it for the long haul, and again, draw their strength from their insight and their humility, not from the applause of others. Belief is a strong emotion that motivates us to achieve for the greater good. Unless we believe in who we are and what we do without ego, and in what we are aiming to achieve, then what we do will not be sustainable. So let's have a look at how all four of these qualities fit into my sustainable leadership model. If you have access to a pen and a paper, then draw this model. If not, create a picture in your mind. So draw a box and then divide it into 4 sections. In the left-hand top corner, write the word insight. In the right-hand top corner, write the word belief. In the bottom left corner, write humility. And in the right-hand bottom corner, write dreams. And where the 4 sections connect, write sustainable leadership. Even though there are areas that we are stronger at and have more interest in, unlike many leaders of the past, we must now be capable of displaying all 4 of the above characteristics in equal doses, if we're able to understand what balanced leadership really is. At Proteus, we teach the behavioural style documented by Bolton and Bolton in their book Behavioural Styles at Work. There are 4 styles in this model: analytical, driver, expressive, and amiable, although we have renamed them to suit the current environment. Some of you may have studied a similar model called DISC. To use this model effectively, we must first understand where we fit in that model and what our usual behaviours are. Then we must identify where others fit so that we can adapt our behaviour accordingly and improve our interactions, giving us a greater chance of success. The real skill, though, is recognising that on any given day we actually demonstrate all 4 styles, and that great leaders need to be versatile and have the ability to adapt to other styles without compromising their own values and ideas. It's much the same with my sustainable leadership model. It's not just about being strong in one area. It's about recognising that we must be strong in multiple areas at the same time and adapt to meet our own needs, the needs of others, and the needs of the situation. This is what's required of today's contemporary leaders, and will be even more so as we launch into the next 10 years of leadership. But as I said earlier, these are qualities that have always been required of leaders. It's just that we were not called to exercise them all in the past because we put so much emphasis on skills and individual pursuits. Every time I create a leadership model, the first thing that I do is put myself through it and do an honest evaluation of how I'm going. In the sustainable leadership model, there are certainly some areas where I'm very strong, but there are also others that need work to bring balance to my life and my leadership role. The important thing is that we recognise this and actively work to be better. What about you? How do you rate in these 4 areas? What are your strong areas and the areas that you need to work on? You know, I often wonder why so many people and leaders are so negative and seem to spend their life fighting rather than celebrating the privilege of their role. And this model made it very clear for me. Firstly, they lack insight. Why? Because they simply don't care enough. Secondly, even if they once had a strong belief system, they now just go through the motions, and what they do and who they could be does not burn inside of them anymore. This then turns into resentment and apathy, which is displayed in every area of their life. Thirdly, they don't dream anymore. They exist and manage the status quo. And finally, their humility has turned into blame and cynicism. They don't even like what they say or who they've become, but they don't have the skills or the desire to make change. Do you recognise yourself or anyone in this scenario? Unfortunately, our organisations are full of people like this, but the most important thing is that we do not fall into the same trap ourselves. We must be working on all areas of our leadership life to gain balance. I admit that it's not always their fault initially, but we're all adults with a brain and possess the ability to make decisions for ourselves. Some people just do not want to, because it's far easier to blame and justify. My advice to these leaders is very simple. Get out of the way and let someone with insight, belief, humility, and the ability to dream take the reins. Because leadership is meant to be a joyful and positive experience. You know, I cannot discuss this topic without talking about those people who are constantly trying to master the qualities of the sustainable leadership model and understand the joy and satisfaction of living this way. Even though it can be tough at times, I love what I have the privilege of doing and leading and would not have it in any other way. But I also know that I'm not alone. There are many amazing human beings out there who share my joy and appreciate the privilege we have been given to lead. What they understand is that their joy comes from within, from a place that understands its purpose and a place that is constantly growing and achieving, but not forgetting to embrace the qualities of its roots. This is a place that must be discovered personally. It's also a place that we must find if we are to be true and balanced leaders who stand the test of time. Because sustainable leadership is all about having balance in our lives. Balance that is greater than just work-life balance. Balance that considers self, others, and the situation or task at hand. So let's stop the leadership struggle and focus on the qualities required to create a balanced, sustainable leadership life, like care and compassion and kindness, respect and gratitude. Let's get some balance back into our lives and stop the constant struggle, because it's within our control if we have the desire. Remember, if you have a problem, then start with you. And when you do, you find it has such a positive impact on so many areas of your life, and everything starts to look a lot better. You've been listening to the Let's Go, Let's Grow podcast. I'm Des Penny, thanking you for listening, and I encourage you to sign up on your favourite podcast platform so that you can enjoy further episodes as they drop.